Hello there friends and welcome. This video is a guide on all of the different sorts of bonuses you can get in the game and how they work together, so what stacks and what doesn't. I do think this is a pretty important mechanic to master. After all, knowing how to properly apply all these sorts of bonuses together is the way to truly achieve effectiveness in combat. Just look at our armor class, for example. We have size, insight, sacred, luck, dexterity, deflection, armor enhancement, shield, natural armor, and lastly dodge. Meanwhile, for attack bonus, there's strength, size, sacred, luck, enhancement, morale, cooking, and also all sorts of different untyped bonuses stacking together. So I don't think it needs any saying, it's very important to know how to properly stack your buffs and other beneficial effects. So here's how it goes. To start out, I think it's important to already make a distinction in what's going to stack and what won't. So you might have noticed that all of these bonuses here have different types. For example, we have Insight here from the Foresight spell, and also Sacred from the Eagle Soul spell. In almost all of the cases, so 99% of the time, bonuses of the same type will not stack with each other. You'll even get this little exclamation point here in the upper left area of your item that says warning, non-stacking bonuses. This is because they are of the same type. For example, the Engraved Lucky Braces gives a luck bonus to armor class and also saving throws. However, the Embroidered Gloves also give a luck bonus to armor class and saving throws, except a much higher bonus of +3 instead of just +1. So this effect will actually take over the lesser effect of the Engraved Lucky Braces, and this is what's going to count. And this is the same for almost all of the other type of bonuses. Notice that for almost everything here, I only have a single source. And here's the 3 exceptions that you really need to know about. First, we have dodge bonuses. They're usually bonuses to armor class, and they will stack not only with other dodge bonuses, but also everything else. Second, we have natural armor bonuses to armor class. Some of these will stack. For example, I have +6 from Inspired Rage, +5 from Enhancement, and another +6 from Legendary Proportions, a size increasing spell. I will later cover each individual one of these buffing types and explain in the case of natural armor class what really stacks and what doesn't. Lastly, for attack bonus, we also have quite a lot of different untyped bonuses, which are just called other here, that stack with basically everything else. So with that out of the way, let's get started now with each one of these individual types and also their most common sources. I can't possibly cover all of the sources because we have an amazing number of classes, each with their own unique abilities, and sometimes each archetype also has unique abilities that will give you all sorts of different bonuses. Alright, so first we have Enhancement. This can actually work for weapons, armor class, and even ability scores. When it comes to your weapon, your Enhancement bonus, it's basically the enchantment of your weapon. For example, I have the Dawnflower's Kiss Scimitar equipped on my angel character here, and it already comes with a +5 enhancement, so it is a scimitar +5. This means an extra +5 both to damage and also attack bonus. Meanwhile, my Camellia here has a +2 Holy Rapier, which has of course a +2 enhancement by default. If you notice here, it's actually higher than that because I have increased it through a spell. If you've already watched my best Divine and Arcane spells guide, then you already know what spell I'm talking about. You can find this guys linked to the site here. I won't really explain in depth what each spell does here because I already have these guides available for you. But anyways, the magic weapon spell will increase your weapon enhancement by a +1, and the greater magic weapon by even higher than that, +1 per 4 caster levels, and this will stack with your current weapon enhancement up to a maximum of +5. And this is why my Camellia's Rapier here has +5 weapon enhancement even if it is only a +2 by default. Now enhancement also matters when it comes to armor, and also shields. For example, my Haramaki of Divine Guidance here is a +4 Haramaki, so it does increase my armor class by a +4 enhancement value. The same for shields. Once again, if you were to take a look here, you'll see I have a lot higher than just +4 enhancement, because just like with weapon enhancement, you can also increase this even further beyond what your main armor and shield already have. In this case, through the aid of the Magical Vestment spell, which can add a +1 bonus to your armor and shield enhancement up to a maximum of +5 at level 20, 1 per 4 caster levels, and it will stack with your current armor value. So my Haramaki here, which is +4 by default, ended up becoming +7, because as an angel, we have a lot higher caster level. We can achieve up to 30 at the end game, so instead of just a +5 from 20 caster level, 1 per 4 caster levels, we have +7 because we have an extra 8 caster level here for an extra +2 to the enhancement, for a total of +7 instead of just +5. And you can also increase your natural armor class through enhancement, mostly through amulets of natural armor. I have Alexa's magnifying amulet here for a +5 to natural armor class. But other amulets also increase it by the same type, so an amulet of natural armor +6 will also give an enhancement bonus to natural armor class. Lastly, we have enhancement bonus to ability scores, which is also the most common of the bonuses as far as enhancing all of your main attributes. For example, as far as charisma, I have +8 enhancement from the Darkness Caress headband. Most of your headbands and also belts will increase your ability scores with an enhancement value. Besides that, we also have all of the animal buffs such as Bear's Endurance, Eagle Splendors and so on, and the max version of these buffs of course. With enhancement bonuses out of the way, let's now talk about a pretty common type of buff. Deflection. Deflection can only really enhance your armor class, and its main sources are either from Rings of Protection or also the Shield of Faith Divine spell. Ideally, because there's quite a lot of decent rings in the game, you probably want to make do with your Shield of Faith spell so you can devote your 2 ring slots to other powerful rings that don't increase your deflection, but give other nice bonuses instead. With enhancement and deflection out of the way, I'll try to keep it in this order of bonuses here for an easier time, so let's talk about size bonuses. I actually have a -2 size to my armor class here, and also another penalty to my attack bonus. Meanwhile, I have +6 strength to size, and a +4 to constitution. Size bonuses are one of the very few ways of increasing your ability scores beyond enhancement, and they certainly do matter. The most common sources are of course the size increasing and decreasing spells, such as Enlarge Person, Reduce Person, Legendary Proportions, and also Frightful Aspect. Now the size increasing spells will also increase your base weapon damage. My Scimitar, for example, has 2d6, which is the damage of a great sword, instead of just 1d6, because through Legendary Proportions I increase my size by 2. You can see the differences in size as far as upgrading your weapon damage in this chart right here. And the way this chart works is pretty simple. Each single size increase will move the value upwards by 1. So let's say we cast Enlarge Person on our character that has a great sword. Its base damage is 2d6. With Enlarge Person it will become 2d8. Now if you cast Legendary Proportions, because the size is increased by 2, your damage will also increase by 2 steps, from 2d6 to 3d6. The size increases won't really stack with themselves, so if you cast Enlarge Person which is +1 and Legendary Proportions which is +2, you'll just retain the higher bonus from Legendary Proportions +2 instead of combining both bonuses for +3. The way to actually stack even more size increases to damage is to cast spells such as Hurricane Bow and also Lead Blades, for a total of +3 increases to size when combined with Legendary Proportions. So our Great Sword will now go from 2d6 to 3d8. Besides that, we also have the War Priest Sacred Weapon feature, as I've just shown to you in my recently released War Priest guide that you can check in the description and also link to the site here. The only downside to size increasing spells is that they also reduce your attack bonus and armor class by a little bit. But honestly, the damage increase and also the increase to strength and constitution too from some spells really makes a big difference. As for when it comes to size decreasing spells, you will receive a penalty to base weapon damage. My Arrow here has 1d8 for her longbow, which should be higher because she actually cast the Hurricane Bow spell to increase the size, but because of Reduce Person, the size was decreased, so they kinda cancelled each other. And of course the opposite of size increasing spells, so you gain a plus size bonus to attack bonus and also to your armor class, perfect for dexterity based characters who don't really care much about base weapon damage, because after all, the dexterity finessable weapons like short swords, daggers, rapiers, kukris and so on, they don't really tend to have high base weapon damage. Most of your damage will actually come from your dexterity. Now let's talk about insight bonuses. They can actually work for all sorts of different effects. You have insight to armor class, you can also get insight to attack bonus, to saving throws, and even to skill checks. So a very useful type of bonus to have. Now the main source, well, For armor class, that would be the Foresight spell. As for the other beneficial effects, the nobility domain from clerics and inquisitors called Inspiring Command. So starting from level 8, you can empower your entire party members with +2 insight bonus to attack rolls, armor class, combat maneuver defense, and also skill checks, for a number of rounds equal to half your class level. That's around 1 minute at level 20. The only downside to this at the moment is that it's a bit bugged. For example, my angel has my entire party immune to mind affecting because of his Halo ability, and Inspiring Command is a mind affecting ability, so if I try to use it, it will say that everyone is immune to Inspiring Command, unfortunately. I do believe this is bugged because Inspiring Command is a beneficial mind affecting effect, so you shouldn't be blocked by immunity to mind affecting. All sorts of other spells in the game work in the same way but aren't blocked, like Heroism and Greater Heroism. Another neat way to enhance at least your saving throws and also your skill checks with Insight is the Light Aura ability from the Undying Love of the Hopebringer Shield that you can get at the end of Chapter 4. Will enhance all of your party members with +2 Insight to saving throws and skill checks. And also another neat beneficial effect here, but it doesn't matter for this guide. Right, so now let's talk about sacred bonuses. These are very rare and very useful, and they also work for multiple effects: armor class, ability scores, and saving throws too. So here are the main sources of sacred. First, for good aligned characters, we have the extremely useful Eagle Soul spell. You gain a lot of powerful bonuses from Eagle Soul to armor class, strength, persuasion, and even to initiative, which is pretty rare. Now the Burst of Glory spell is another pretty good source of sacred to your attack rolls and also saving throws against fear, but mostly attack rolls, which is what really matters. This can actually hit your entire party, so long as you properly position your character because it is centered on them. Paladins can also cast the Bestow Grace spell to increase the saving throws of all of your good aligned characters, equal to their charisma modifier, which is why I have the massive +18 bonus to all my saving throws through Bestow Grace here as sacred. Lastly, through the aid of the Aroden's Wrath Scabbard, a paladin will change their Smite Evil ability to grant a sacred bonus to armor class, very valuable, instead of Deflection, which is, you know, pretty common because of Shield of Faith and Rings of Protection. And the best part is this will also change the already extremely overpowered Mark of Justice ability from paladins to empower your entire party with a sacred bonus to armor class based on your paladin's charisma modifier. In the case of my Scylla here, that's +11 to armor class as sacred. It doesn't get any better than that, because as usual we want to squeeze every possible stacking bonus we can. Now another very good way of increasing your attack bonus as a sacred modifier is through the aid of the Guarded Hearth Cleric domain power. Through the aid of the community domain, your cleric will gain Guarded Hearth at level 8. This does affect your entire party so long as they are inside the very big blue area of effect here. The only downside is that this is only once per day, but you know, it's perfect for bosses and other tough encounters. You don't need to have this on for every single battle in the game. And it will even increase your saving throws as well, so a very valuable ability. Now we have luck bonuses. These are pretty rare too. You already start the game with the engraved lucky braces, which only work for a main character, for a +1 luck bonus to AC and also saving throws. Later on you can actually upgrade this. Well, they aren't really upgraded because you gain another item. The embroidered gloves on the other hand give triple the amount, and I already have a guide link to the site here on how to get this very powerful, very missable pair of gloves. Besides that, the most common sources of luck are to the Divine Favor Cleric spell for a +3 to attack bonus and damage rolls. Its upgrade, the Divine Power spell, for double that, so +6. Both of these are self buffs only, but an angel character can actually empower their entire party with this through either Army of Heaven or Avenger's Blessing, which is why even my Skald here, who is not a Divine caster, has a +6 luck bonus from Divine Power, all from my angel. And lastly, from the Prayer spell, which does affect your entire party, and can even debuff the enemies by the same amount. Now let's talk about your main ability scores as far as damage and armor class. For most characters that's strength in the case of attack bonus, or dexterity if you are wielding a ranged weapon or a finessable weapon, and also dexterity as far as armor class. But some classes have abilities that let them benefit from other ability scores, usually either wisdom or charisma to armor class instead of dexterity. There's actually quite a lot of ways to achieve this, but mostly some of the monk archetypes and oracles through the Nature's Whisper revelation from the Nature Mystery. Now it is important to note that your dexterity modifier to armor class is actually limited by the armor you're wearing. In most cases, for example, Scylla here has a Mithril full plate. All you have to do is check on the section here that says 3 max dexterity, so I can only enhance my armor class by a maximum of +3 from my dexterity modifier, which is why Scylla's Mithril full plate only gives +12 to armor, 9 from base armor class, and then +3 from her dexterity modifier, even though she actually has higher dexterity modifier than that, +5 instead of +3. And this is the reason why it can actually be beneficial for dexterity-based characters to eventually not wear any armor at all. For example, my Arusha Lay with light padded armor has 53 armor class. If I remove it, she now has 56, because she won't care about the maximum dexterity modifier now. Now let's talk about the actual armor value to your armor class. And this comes from whatever base armor class number your armor has. In this case I have a Haramaki, which has a very tiny amount of base armor class, just 1. Tosiel's Chainmail, however, has 6 base armor class. It's important to note that this is different from your armor enhancement value, which is another thing as I have already explained. The most common sources of this are of course armor, and also the Mage Armor spell that works as if your character was wearing armor with a +4 base armor bonus to armor class, just like a chain shirt for example. Because of how powerful the Mythic ability called Archmage Armor can be, at least in the late Mythic ranks for a higher bonus, my Angel Oracle here has a massive +13 added to his armor class value, all from Archmage Armor. Shield bonuses to armor class work in the same way. Each shield has their base armor class value and also their enhancement value, which are different things. Except shields, unlike actual armor, don't really interfere with your dexterity score. Now, the most common way of getting a base shield bonus to your armor class is through the aid of their Shield Arcane spell that gives you a +4 shield bonus. Okay, so here it comes now. Natural bonuses to your armor class. These are probably the most complicated ones. As I said before, you have non-stacking sources of natural armor class, such as my amulet here, and stacking sources of natural armor class like everything else. Inspired Rage and also this legendary proportion spell. Here's how it works. Your enhancement bonuses to armor class will not stack. That is from amulets and also the ever so useful Bark Skin spell. Because both of these give enhancement bonuses, they don't stack, only the highest amount is accounted for. So if your Bark Skin spell already gives a +5 bonus to your natural armor class, having an amulet of natural armor +5 won't make a difference. They won't stack. On the other hand, most of the other sources of natural armor class will actually stack with each other. Notice that they never are enhancement. The easy way to notice this is that usually, as far as stacking or not, it will say enhancement. If it doesn't say enhancement, chances are it's probably going to stack. The most common sources of this are, well, first, from rage powers. I have +6 from Inspired Rage here, because of the Beast Totem power for my Scald, but all of the other rage classes usually can also get this rage power. I just prefer Scald because it applies to your entire party. And then natural armor increases from size spells, such as Legendary Proportions here. Usually there's only really around 3 spells that do this. We have Legendary Proportions, Rightful Aspect, because they come from size spells and so on, they won't actually stack with each other. And for pets you also have the Animal Growth spell, for a +2 natural armor bonus to AC. Let's check our dog here. So he already has a +2 natural armor class from Animal Growth. Now let's try casting Legendary Proportions on it. Notice we actually got an increase. We have +2 here and +6 here. Honestly, I suppose the easy way to handle all of these different bonuses to natural armor class, well, first, if they say enhancement or not. And second, the bonus from Frightful Aspect and Legendary Proportions won't stack with each other. Only one of them will apply, as far as I see. The size increasing and the polymorphing spells won't really stack as far as natural armor bonus. The only exception that I know of is the Animal Growth spell. Now we have Dodge. Dodge is another very unique type of bonus, because it will actually stack even with itself. The most common source is of course the Haste spell for a +1 dodge. But there's also others like Defeat, which is called Dodge, and some gear can enhance it further. The Ronak Sacrifice Boots, for example, will increase the dodge bonus from Haste by another +1. Haste is so good that it can even give you another dodge bonus to attack rolls as well. So with all of these different bonuses to armor class out of the way, now let's look at the remaining type of bonuses we have left. So we have Morale here, which is another pretty common type of bonus, at least as far as enhancing your attack rolls. The most common source are the Heroism spell, so the normal version of Heroism, the Good Hope Scald and Bard spell, and also Greater Heroism. And besides that, the Heroic Invocation spell that the full arcane casters have access to. Both Good Hope and Heroic Invocation can also increase your damage as Morale, which makes them very useful. Now Morale is also unique in that it can even increase your ability points. One example is the Web Strider Padded Armor here, a Crusade relic, and I already have a guide for all of the best Crusade relics linked to the site here, and also down below in the video description, that increases your dexterity by a +2 morale. Besides that, you also have the AZATA unique spell called Believe in Yourself that can increase any of your ability points as morale. Very useful. These spells can also increase your saving throws, so even better. Now as for a super rare source of morale to armor class, we have the Helmet of Camaraderie for up to +3 to your armor class. So morale is another one of those very stacked bonuses that can enhance a lot of different things. Now let's talk about cooking bonuses, which are typed as meal here. They can make a really big difference, because cooked meals, well, they can enhance everything. From your ability scores, to your attack rolls, saving throws, the difficulty class of your spells, all sorts of healing effects, even increase your armor class. And the best thing is you can actually benefit from 2 cooking bonuses at once. To get the first, rest with a 9-hour timer. After that, change your recipe for the order you want and rest for 15 hours. The end result is you now have 2 different sorts of food bonuses for all of your party members. But as far as my favorite recipes we have, well, first, the Curse Pilaf for a +1 to attack bonus, and also Conflagrant Taco for a +4 to all of your ability scores. This is just insane. And lastly, Demon Slayer Soup for a +3 to damage, attack rolls, saving throws. It's very stacked too. And these are the ones I like to have together at the same time. Demon Slayer Soup and Conflagrant Taco. Now let's talk about inherent bonuses. These are super rare too, and you really can only get them from 2 sources. First, from all of the different tomes you'll find spread to the entire game, that each give a +2 inherent bonus to 1 ability score. Now I also already have a guide link to the site here and down below that explains where you can find all of these items. But besides that, we also have the very powerful Elixir from Boken that you could get in Kingmaker, and it also returns from Wrath. It's so powerful that it can actually give you all of your ability scores a +2 inherent bonus, which is the reason that I prefer to leave the tomes for my party members and then just increase everything as far as my main character with Boken's Elixir, the Elixir of Transmutation of Mind, Body and Soul. And as a note, because both are inherent type of bonuses, they won't stack, so you either get the bonuses from the tomes or the bonus from the Elixir. Alright, so now let's talk about Profane bonuses, also very unusual. Honestly, the 2 main sources as far as I know are basically the Profane Ascension buff from Nocticula. All you have to do is accept her gift during dialogue, and this will actually empower your main ability score by +6, and a secondary ability score by +4 Profane. And also the very useful Shy Lily Helmet for a +4 Profane to Strength, and an ultra rare +2 Profane to Armor class. Certainly one of the best, if not the best helmet in the game, especially for melee characters. For a defensive type of bonus, we have Resistance. This is usually from the Cloaks of Resistance that you can find in the game to increase your saving throws by the same amount as Resistance. There are some other ways of getting Resistance bonus, mostly the Protection from Alignment spell, but honestly the best one would be Angelic Aspect Greater to give your party members, your whole party that is, a +4 resistance bonus against abilities and spells used by evil enemies, everything in the game. Now, even though by default Cloaks of Resistance can have a higher amount, +5 and +6 instead of just +4 from the Angelic Aspect spell, The main use of that spell is to actually free the cloak slot for something else. Now let's talk about competence boosts. These are usually only for attack bonus and also skills. And the main sources are either the Bard class, for the Bard song abilities, but my favorite one would certainly be the Skald. Skalds and Barbarians have access to the Lethal Stance Rage power, which can give your whole party, in the case of Skald, a competence bonus to melee attack rolls and also thrown weapon attack rolls. Most ranged weapons unfortunately don't benefit from this, but you can increase them instead through the normal Bard song, called Inspire Competence. Lastly, and with all that out of the way, let's talk about the most unique source of bonuses of them all. Untyped bonuses. In this case they are all just treated as other. These bonuses are unique because they stack with everything. So I'll try to cover the main sources of them, at least the most important ones. Well, of course, if you are a fighter class, you have access to weapon focus and greater weapon focus. These are treated as untyped. Rangers have their favorite enemy power, which is also untyped. The same for a Rushalei with a Ranger's Bond ability, which can apply it to all of your party members. Paladins have Smite Evil and Mark of Justice. Skalds have Scald Rage that give bonuses to attack bonus split between competence and also untyped. This other +2 here, for example. And as for clerics, well, they are the true lords of untyped, if you may. Because of their domain powers, especially the Madness domain. This ability is insane. I've already talked about it many times, so to keep it simple, you can grant any one of your party members up to +10 untyped to their attack rolls, saving throws or skill checks, and you can even debuff the enemy by the same amount. A +10 untyped to your attack rolls by itself is already amazing and can highly shift the rolls in your favor. So if you're facing a tough battle like a mid-boss or a boss encounter, be sure to pre-buff with Visions of Madness. Well, so this was it everyone, from my guide on how to properly stack all sorts of bonuses. As I said before, there's a massive amount of different type of bonuses that you have to account for if you really want to squeeze everything and truly maximize the effectiveness of your character. I do hope I managed to properly explain this to you. If not, then please be sure to comment down below and send any questions you might want my way. As usual, please remember to support the channel if you can by liking, subscribing and even becoming a channel member for some pretty neat exclusive perks like access to my server Discord and also the ability to request personal videos. Thank you for watching and see you next time, friends!